welcome back to week 2 of doing math online. We'll see how this goes. Today we are going to be starting chapter 10. So if you've already taken a quiz, what I figured out how to do for chapter 9, awesome. We'll move on to chapter 10. We're actually going to take a very brief review for 10.1. I'm not going to assign anything for 10.1, okay? Okay, so 10.1, we're looking at lines and planes. A plane is not something that flies in the sky with wings and all of that. What we're talking about is a flat surface. So if you're looking on page 561 at the very beginning of 10.1, it shows two planes that are upright, they're running vertically, and they're labeled with a capital letter. So for 10.1, page 561, the two planes that run vertically are green, and they are labeled with a capital A and a capital B. And then there's another plane, it would be like a flat surface, that is labeled C, and that one is blue. So this right here would be a plane. The tabletop would be a plane, any flat surface, okay? And then you actually have lines. I know you know what lines are, that they go on forever. That's why we have arrows on the end of them. But that just means that the edge of a plane is a portion of a line, okay? So this edge of the TV would be a line. This edge of the TV would be a line. The edge of your paper is a line. It's called an edge when we're talking about figures, but for planes themselves, there's a line. So any line can run across this plane. It can run along the edge of the plane. A line could go through a plane. When two planes intersect, they create a line, okay? So these two papers could create a line right there as they go through. Any line that is on a plane with another line, that means that they are coplanar. They are together, combined on one plane. Okay, so two lines that are together on the same plane are coplanar. They can intersect and be on different planes, and that would mean that they are skew. I'll write that in a different color. So we have skew lines, or we have coplanar. Coplanar means they are together on the same plane, they can run, they do not have to intersect. You could have two lines that do intersect, but they're skew because they are on the same plane. So if you look at line K and line N on that same figure, those two intersect, but they are not coplanar, they are not together on the same plane. So with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and jump to 10.2, where we're going to look at 3D figures. So we have a couple of different types. On page 566, you have a chart that will give you some drawings of these. So a prism is something that has two of the same shaped base. So you can have the TV itself, because it's not one-dimensional, it's 3D. This is actually a prism. It's not very tall or very wide, thick, however you want to look at it, but it is a prism. So each edge or the two bases are rectangles. So this TV itself would be a rectangular prism, okay? Your tabletop, because it's not one-dimensional, you have a thickness to it, is a rectangular prism. And so the way that you know how to label a prism is by what shape is the base. If the shape of the base is a rectangle, it's a rectangular prism. If you have something, the picture that they actually show on in your book has triangles as the bases. That is a triangular prism, okay? And then a pyramid only has one base of that shape, one base, and it has a point up at the top, and that point is called a vertex, okay? A point is a vertex. So that would be something like this. If I have a point here, that looks kind of like a square pyramid or a rectangular pyramid. So the base would be a rectangle, and then you have one point up at the top, okay? And then you have a cylinder. A cylinder is just like a prism where you have two of the same base. In this case, they happen to be circles, and that is a shape around separating the two bases. So you have two circles as the bases, and then you have the shape around. A cone is just like a pyramid, except that the base is a circle also. So these two, in addition to a sphere is just what you think of it, a ball, okay? Baseball, a basketball, a soccer ball, those are all spheres. So that is a 3D version of a circle, okay? These two right here are what we call polyhedrons. A polyhedron is just a 3D figure that doesn't have a circle to it, okay? So in your lesson 10.2, what's going to happen is you're going to be looking at prisms and pyramids and then cylinders and cones, and it's going to ask you, is it a polyhedron? The very simple answer is, if it has anything with a circle as a part of it, no, it's not a polyhedron. If it does, it's just a cylinder or cone, you have to label that. If it doesn't, if it has points, edges, no circle, it's a polyhedron, okay? So if we were to look at something like this, is that a polyhedron? Yes, it doesn't have any circular parts to it, okay? It's not perfect, so it's not a cube. A cube would mean that all of the sides, all the edges are exactly the same. But then, once you recognize that it's a polyhedron, it's going to ask you to label a couple of different things, or to count a couple of different things. In this case, we want to know faces, edges, and vertices. We talked about how the top of a pyramid is a vertex. Vertices is just a plural version of vertex. So all that means is a point. So if we were to do this, I'm going to look at vertices first. That is how many little points do we see? So on each base, I see 4 points. So how many vertices are there? There's 8, because there's 4 on each base. Then edges and faces. Faces is going to be like a full plane that creates that polyhedron. So in this case, I have the top and the bottom, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4 around the sides. So this has 6 faces. And then the edges would be lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So how many edges are there? There's 12 edges to this. This is like a cube or a rectangular prism. Again, you want to look at the 2 bases that are across from each other. In this case, there's multiple bases across from each other because they're all shaped as a rectangle. So let's go ahead and try a pyramid, and we'll do the same thing. Label faces, edges, and vertices. So I have a rectangular pyramid, okay? I want to do faces, edges, and vertices. Okay, so if I'm doing the faces, I have the base is a face, because you can flip it around. It can be upside down, it can be on its point, and you can still see that as a plane, as a face. So I have 1, and then I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I should have 5 faces when it comes to a rectangular pyramid. Your edges, I'm going to skip to the vertices just so that I'm not writing over this. So my vertices, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I have the point up on top. So again, I have 5 as my vertices. And then my edges, I have 1, 2, 3, that back edge, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have 8 edges, okay? So our first question is gonna be, is it a polyhedron? Yes, this is a polyhedron, because there is no portion of this that is a circle. Only then will you give me the faces, edges, and vertices. If I have something like this, and I'm given a cylinder, this is a cylinder. Is it a polyhedron? No, it's not a polyhedron. So I can't even give the numbers of faces, edges, or vertices because I don't have any. I may have, you can see the top and the bottom as faces, but I can't really count the outside as a face because it's not a flat plane. It's cylindrical, it's round, it moves. So it's not a polyhedron, I can't give faces, edges, and vertices. So if you get to that point and it asks you how many, don't give them if you have a cylinder or if you have a cone. Okay, Neither of those can give you faces, edges, or vertices. All right, so for 10-2, you may actually be asked to try and draw this, okay? Now notice, my drawings are not perfect. I am a pretty amazing artist, but I'm not that good, okay? So when it comes to drawing, when I'm looking at a prism, all I'm gonna do is, okay, do I have to draw a square prism? Do I have to draw a pentagonal prism? That would be a pentagon as my base. So let's go ahead and try that. Let's try a pentagon and then draw the same shape. It's not gonna be perfect, that's fine. And what you're gonna do is, I would even try it with a different color, try to connect the edges that go together, or the vertices that go together. And then that one is in the back. We just created, it's not beautiful, but it works. It's a pentagonal prism, okay? Same thing with the pyramid, the only difference is you do the base and then you just draw a point at top and draw lines from that to each of the vertices of the base, okay? I believe in you, I know you can do this. Your assignment for this one, we skipped 10.1, just kind of reviewed it. So 10.2, you are going to do numbers 3 through 15 all. And then I'd like you to do number 32, which is a chart. So you're going to look at that chart of the different figures and label all of the information as it shows in the chart, okay? So fill that in, 3 through 15 all, and then number 32.